Hi, my name is John Paul Raj, and I'm on a mission to make the learning of math fun. So if you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. Apart from mathematics, I have a great interest in photography, in movies, in cooking, and also in cricket. And since this is the season of the T20 World Cup, Cricket World Cup, I thought it might be a great idea to relate some of the math that we study in school, the kind of math we see in our textbooks, with the kind of math that they use in any cricket game. When a player comes out to bat, we see this graphic on television that describes his or her career statistics. Okay. Now, this being the T20 Men's World Cup, I thought we'll just stick to information and data from the men's group. The same thing is true for even the women's group. Okay. And as an example, what we're going to do is that we're going to take Mohammad Rizwan, who's the number one T20 ranked player currently. Okay. So, according to ICC website, Mohammad Rizwan from Pakistan is the number one ranked batsman, and his rating is 861. There's similar system for bowlers also, okay, ranking, and also for the teams, okay, the team that's ranked one, and there's a rating. There's a difference between the word rating and ranking, and we will discuss this maybe at the end of this video or maybe in some other video, depends on how long this video is going to go on for. So when Mohammad Rizwan walks up to the crease to bat, we see this kind of information. We see that he's played in 74 matches and 63 innings. The difference is that he's played in 74 matches, but he's come out to bat 63 times out of those 74 matches. He's remained not out for 15 times, and the total number of runs that he's accumulated scored over all those 63 innings is 2464. His highest score was 104 not out. And actually, if you go to this website, you can even find out against which team. I think it is South Africa. Yeah, it says here that against South Africa, I don't know when exactly what particular game, but if you dig in deep in the website, you can find out, okay? And his average, that's the batting average. And we'll first take a look at what this batting average is. Mohammad Rizwan's batting average in T20 internationals is 51.33 in all of those 63 innings that he has batted, okay? And the way batting average is defined in all formats, okay? Even for test match or for ODIs, okay? This is the way it's defined. It's the number of runs that he has accumulated in all of those 63 innings divided by the number of times he was out. So let's just check, okay? So we are going to switch to our calculator, the TI Inspire, and I'm just going to enter the number of runs that he has scored to 464 divided by the number of times he was out. Well, he came in 63 times and he was not out for 15 times. So the number of times he is out is 63 minus 15, correct? So if you just work it out that way, it turns out to be 51.33, exactly as it was given in the website, okay? And by the way, these numbers, these statistics are reported to 2 decimal places, okay? So as you can see, his batting average, we've just checked it on the calculator, is 51.33. Now, I just want us to go back to that calculator and take a look at that fraction. It is the total number of runs that Mohammad Rizwan has accumulated over his entire career of 63 innings divided by the total number of times that he lost his wicket, the total number of times that he got out, because 15 represents the number of not outs, the number of times that he remained not out over those 63 innings, okay? Now, in mathematics, a ratio of numbers is a comparison, okay? It's a comparison between that term in the numerator and the term in the denominator. And what do we have here? We have the total number of runs scored by a player divided by the term in the denominator represents the total number of times that that player got out or lost his or her wicket. That is how batting average is defined in cricket, whether it is T20I, whether it's ODI, or whether it's test cricket. So what does that mean? What is that 51.33? How can we interpret it? Let's get back to that calculator of ours. It means that Mohammad Rizwan, in this case, that's our player that we're using as an example, the number one T20I ranked batsman. It means that Mohammad Rizwan is going to score on an average. Remember, on an average, he's going to score 51 or 52 runs. He obviously cannot score 51.33. Okay, this is the beauty of mathematics. Okay, 51 or 52 runs, he's going to score on an average every time he comes out to bat before losing his wicket. I'm going to repeat that, okay? On an average in T20I, Mohammad Rizwan is going to score 51.33 or 50, that means 51 or 52 runs every time he comes out to bat before losing his wicket. That is what this metric suggests. Now, how important is this kind of statistic? Okay, how important is this kind of batting average? Because you see, um, especially when it comes to T20 internationals, okay, a player can score 50 runs, but he can take a lot of time. He or she can take the entire 20 overs and have scored something like 50 or even 60 runs. And that is something else that I want to bring your attention to before I make my point about how useful this is. Okay, so let's get back to that calculator of ours. There's something else I missed. Okay, if any player wants to improve their batting average, okay, what's going to happen in numbers? We know that if the denominator is going to be smaller, if the denominator is going to be smaller, your value of that fraction is going to be greater. Okay, so how are we going to make the denominator smaller? Let's say Mohammad Rizwan, we're going to fudge this statistic. Okay, this is not true, but this is just to make a point. Let's say he remained not out 20 times. Okay, so that means he got out how many times? So 63 minus 20, that's going to be like, 43 times he got out, right? So let's see this thing. This is fudged, but just to make a point, all right? Just watch the statistic right now, the batting average, as it's called. 57. Isn't it great? Okay, it's an improvement. So, in order to improve one's batting average, a player must make sure that he or she does not lose their wicket so often. Okay, they remain not out many more times. And that means that that player has to play defensively. And that is why I said, in the context of a T20I international, if a player plays defensively, that's not going to help in the cause of the game, right? So that is why strike rate is a better statistic when it comes to T20 internationals. There is a place for batting average, this definition of the batting average, perhaps in Test cricket, maybe also in ODS. But when we come to T20Is, strike rate is a better statistic. And we will talk about strike rate in the next video, not in this particular video, but in this video, I wanted to show the mathematics of batting average and what it means. Okay. Let's get back to the calculator because I have one more point about batting average. Say, for instance, the player has never got out. Okay. So I'm not going to use the name Mohammad Rizwan because we are already fudging and that is not right. Okay. I apologize if he ever happens to see this video, but this is only to help the mathematics behind it. Okay. Let's say the player has remained not out in all of the 63 innings. What's going to happen? Okay. The batting average. Okay. Let's get back to that fraction. And not out, this entry is not out, right? So let's say in all the 63 innings, that player has remained not out in all of those 63 times. What's going to happen? 63 minus 63 is 0. And all math students will tell you that when the denominator becomes 0, your calculator is going to give you an error. Okay. In this particular calculator, it says undefined. Why? Because it becomes a very, very large number. Many people try to use the word infinity because it becomes that large. They like to use the word infinity. Infinity is not a number, it's an idea. Basically, it becomes too large to be described as a number. Okay, so in this kind of a case, it could be possible, right? Every time a player comes out to bat, he or she remains not out in each innings. In that case, this particular definition is not helpful, right? So I want to offer another definition for a batting average. And this may never be used, but let's take a look at that meaning. Okay, going back to the calculator, let's bring back that fraction again. And again, we are just using this as an example. So we're just going to call player and not refer to the name of the player. Okay. Let's say we are going to just compare the number of runs scored by the player, the total number of runs scored by the player. Remember, that's how in mathematics, we call fractions, right? The comparison between the numerator and the denominator. So this is not going to be the number of times a player got out. Okay. Just to make the correction. This is not representing the number of times the player got out. Instead, it's the total number of innings that that player has played in. Okay, so total number of runs compared with the total number of innings. Okay, what are we going to get here? This is 39.11. So how do we interpret this ratio? Remember, I said a ratio is a comparison of the term in the numerator with the term in the denominator. And this is my version, okay, my suggested improvement on the batting average, especially because, the existing definition for the batting average does not take into account for players who will never get out. Okay, they might be so brilliant, they might even score at a great rate and still remain not out in every innings that they come out to play. But we will not be able to find a batting average. We'll have to say it's infinite. It's too large to define. So this is a suggested improvement which takes into account the total number of runs scored by that player, and in the denominator we have got the total number of innings that that player has come out to play. Okay, and since these numbers are records from Mohammad Rizwan, we can say that Mohammad Rizwan in a T20 international will score on an average 39 to 40 runs in every innings that he plays. It's up for debate. But what's more important is how quickly a player scores those runs in a T20 international. So even if he scores 39, 40, or even 50, what's more important in a T20 international is how quickly does he score those runs. This might be runs scored per innings, but what is his strike rate? We'll find that in the next video.